Yo, what is up, folks? It's your boy Sports PSP in the building. Hope everyone's enjoying a fantastic, beautiful Friday night. Man, I am having a fantastic day. Just finished a long day, playing basketball, taking care of errands, taking care of responsibilities, doing whatever I can, just keep grinding, just keep doing whatever I do. And folks, if you're interested in commenting, look, I put in the StreamYard link on the YouTube section below, so feel free to come in and weigh your opinion on stuff. But today's topics, as I mentioned before on the video that I posted on my Instagram, my TikTok, my Twitter, my YouTube, my Facebook, we're gonna discuss about some NFL news. We're gonna discuss about Ezekiel Elliott, Dalvin Cook. Hopefully, if we have time for that, we should have time for that. We're gonna discuss about the preseason, Anthony Richardson being named the starting quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts. We're definitely gonna discuss about the NBA. Of course, we're going to talk about James Harden with the recent comments he made about the 76ers president, Daryl Morey, calling him a liar. We're going to also talk about the NBA schedule. And of course, we want to talk about Michael Orr versus the Tui family. And we'll probably finish off the episode with start, bench, or cut. So, folks, hope everyone's enjoying a fantastic evening. Now, let's talk about let's talk about James Harden real quick. James Harden, I think he went to China, and he made a statement about Daryl Morey, who is the current Philadelphia 76ers president. This is what he had to say about Daryl Morey. He said, Daryl Morey is a liar, and I will never be a part of an organization that he's a part of. Let me say that again. Daryl Morey is a liar, and I'll never be a part of an organization that he's a part of. Pretty strong statement from James Harden. I think the reason why he said that, though, is because, it was reported, I think Adrian Wojnarowski reported that the 76ers ended trade talks for James Harden. And I think with James Harden, he's not getting his way. And I think in his mind, something happened between him and Daryl Morey. Daryl Morey probably told James Harden something, and Daryl Morey promised James Harden something, and that promise wasn't fulfilled. That's what it seems like to me. It's no surprise that James Harden, what I see with James Harden is this. He's 33 going on 34 years old now. He's going to continue doing things his way, which means he's going to show up out of shape, overweight. He's going to produce. He's going to ball. He's going to get traded. I do believe he's going to get traded. And I do believe come postseason time, he's going to choke. Now, with Joel Embiid, I don't know what's going to happen with Joel Embiid, but I think, and I was listening to Real Talk with Miles Johnson, and go check out his podcast. And hold on, Leaf, I'm going to get you in just a sec. But before I bring in Leaf on the show to give his opinion, I do believe, and I agree with Miles, the 76ers, they should end the process. James Harden is what he is as far as a personality and as a player. And Joel Embiid, I believe this is as far as he can go. Because Joel Embiid, we continuously talk about James Harden with his lack of production in the postseason. We can't ignore Joel Embiid. We can't. We could talk about, and this is a Philadelphia problem because, look, Philadelphia, this is also on them as well. Because look at Ben Simmons. They drafted Ben Simmons over Brandon Ingram and Jaylen Brown in 2016. And how'd that work out? And then the following year, they drafted Markelle Fultz over Jason Tatum and Donovan Mitchell. And how's that turned out? This is the Philadelphia 76ers problem. The Philadelphia 76ers can't get out of their own way. I believe they should trade Joel Embiid. even though Joel Embiid doesn't have the greatest durability history, but he is coming off an MVP caliber season. You'll probably get a first round pick or two, get something in return, but either way, blow up the process because James Harden, you can't trust him. And just looking at the press conference or whatever he was, I think he was in China, he looked out of shape. And I think Joel Embiid, this is as far as he can go as the number one option, as the man on the team. So I think you should trade him and get something in return. That's what I think. I'll add more to my opinion, but I want to add my boy Leaf. How you doing, man?
I'm alright, man. What's good? What's the word, man?
Good, man. We're gonna talk about. Are we talking about James Harden? Of course, he went viral for saying what he said about Daryl Morey, calling him a liar. Now, Leaf, I gotta hold you because you've been consistent on James Harden. You said I don't want to see him in the NBA anymore. He values more than titties over titles. He feels like he's a bad role model, bad personality for the NBA. What do you think of what James Harden had to say?
Well, before I get into that, why you ain't tell me you was in Coney Island, bro? I'm like, damn. I seen the
I was on
pictures and that.
vacation. I was on
Yeah,
vacation.
I
My mom
made
wanted
it.
me to take some time off to myself. She wanted me to go hang out with her and the family, so I did that. So
Oh man, I didn't even know you was in Brooklyn, man. I be
no,
out
I live
there.
in Jersey. I live in Jersey.
Oh, all right, yeah. Cause I ain't know you. Yeah, I knew you. I ain't know. I know for sure you didn't live in New York, but I was just
No,
like, I'm
no.
like, all right. He lives somewhere close, man. I'm like, all right, but he was out here, man. He just told me. I was riding around. I tried to avoid. I try to avoid Coney Island during the summertime because it get crowded. But
Yeah,
yeah,
it does. It does. No joke.
definitely. But listen, I don't know how many times I'm gonna speak on this, and I done spoke on this on other channels. I done told Chilltown about it. He tried to get all uppity with me about it. And I'm like, listen, we talked about the relationship. It seemed like a one-sided relationship the entire time. We can name all the things that I mean, and definitely James Harden, as far as I know, was lied to, but he wasn't lied to on purpose. The purpose lie came from when he said that he was going to take care of James Harden, but he went into the front office thinking that the front office was going to take care of, and management and the ownership was going to take care of James Harden too. When they said hell no, we not paying James Harden, that's when the lie started, because the lie basically meant, hey, Daryl Morey, your ass is on the line too, because you
Mm-hmm.
came over here and then you told us about James Harden this and James Harden that, and we gave you a full season. Personally, I don't think it'd be able enough time, but how much time can you give to a guy that's not in his 20s no more and can't
Mm-hmm.
get away with the shuffle the feet, shuffle step, and manipulating calls, everything that they ruled out of the league after Trae Young and the Atlanta Hawks marched to the Eastern Conference Finals, and they ruled that all out, and they changed the rules on that. Ever since they changed the rules on that, he's been nerfed to barely a 20-point scorer. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? So my things with James Harden is, we can name all the things that Daryl Morey done for you since you've been in Houston. When you wanted
Yeah.
when you wanted Kevin McHale gone, guess what? He was gone.
Right.
When you wanted the roster change, you got the roster change. When you
And then
wanted
he
to
made
bring
accommodations for him. He was able to get Dwight Howard. He was able to get CP3. He was able to get
uh-huh.
Westbrook.
Yeah, and when we can name miles and miles of stuff for years, what Daryl Morey did for James Harden in Houston. My thing is, what has James Harden ever done for Daryl Morey other than sell him time and time again in the postseason? Which what your shortcomings, bro? You didn't live up to nothing. You didn't help Daryl Morey with nothing. I didn't see you frontlining for Daryl Morey when he got in trouble with China. I didn't see you
Oh
frontlining for
yeah.
Daryl Morey. When the organization wanted to fire him and go in another direction, you put on a fat suit then, and now you about to put on a fat suit now. Daryl Morey got a job in Philly all by himself, all by himself. No thanks to you, James. So when he got that job all by himself, guess what? He wanted you still. They wanted to throw Houston Ben Simmons. They said no because they didn't trust James or they didn't trust him no more. And what did you do? You gave the rest of the Houston city and that front office basically your butt to kiss. And you got your way and you got out and you eventually landed over here with me in Brooklyn. And then what did you do? You got injured. You got nerfed again. And then the next year, you realized KD and Kyrie wasn't on the court as much. So you wanted out, man, and then you wanted out again. You got what you wanted. And then you finally got back with Daryl Morey. The only person that has ever went to bat for you in the front office. You don't have no friends in the front office. That you damn sure don't have no friends in the front office now. Now that you did what you did, James. So my thing is, James, bro, like you could say that he lied to you that one time. You've been lying to him for 12 years. You know how you've been lying to him? You've been lying to him with your play on the court. You've been lying to him in the postseason. This upcoming June will be 12 years since James Harden was last in the NBA Finals. He been selling you then, and he been selling you now. He sold you as a number 3 option, as a number 1 option, as a number 2 option. When is it gonna be according, bro? Like this is not about him like Daryl Morey lying to him. Because if Daryl Morey did lie to you, I guarantee you it was one of those, man, it's just business things. You took it personal because you thought that you of course Daryl Morey was your friend. And Daryl Morey treated you as such. And he treated you as such over the years. But once he realized that you was using him all these years, that's when he said, yo, I gotta save my own ass. Because basically he went to Philly. He tried to go to the Philly ownership, what he went to the Houston ownership with, and it didn't work. That's what it was. Right. So now, James, you staring down 34 years old before the season starts. You staring down, hey, who wants you? You realize, hey, Russ had to humble himself. Russ had to realize, bro, it ain't about him no more. Russ had to realize, bro, like I gotta buy in. And now he got even though he got a 2-year, $8 million deal, he realized it's better to be in the league than on the outside looking in. Now he done suck. Now that Daryl Morey done suckered you to taking that player op that you took instead of you trusting yourself and realizing that you wanted new money. Because that's what this is all about, James, ain't it? It's all about new money. It's all about a new contract. It's all about who you going to finesse and who you going to shindig to give yourself a new contract so you can keep buying strippers and hookers and bars and going and throwing your money on stripper poles and being a salamander like you always been. And supporting simp culture like you always done. You know what I'm saying? So James, miss me with all of that. Daryl Morey lied to you because you've been lying to him for 12 years. It's been a one-sided relationship. He treated you as a friend, and you ain't doing nothing but use him. That's all you did. You use him. Hey, you gonna get me paid, right? Hey, you gonna do this, right? Hey, yo, you gonna trade him, right? Yo, you gonna trade him, right? Hey, yo, I need him traded. Yo, we gotta upgrade this roster. Everything that you wanted Daryl Morey to do, he did for you in Houston. And now
he definitely did his part. He made accommodations for him. And unfortunately, he looks at it from the standpoint, I did all this for you, and this is what you've given me.
Exactly. And I don't know if Daryl Morey ever looked at it like that, but I guarantee you, when the Philadelphia 76ers told him that they not, hey, hell no, we ain't signing James. That's when the light bulb went off in his head. Bing. Hey, I gotta save my own ass, man. Listen, hey, James, I understand, but you don't understand, do you, James? Because you care about yourself. You care about nothing but money and strippers and wine and rappers, and you want to go pay. You want to throw 50,000 on some model for a weekend. I know we know all about you, bro. We know all about you, and we tired of you. Just as the same as them other 2010s dudes. I'm tired of you, bro. You know what I realized? While I'm on the subject, why is it? This is what I mean by the NBA. The NBA is bad at what they do, because the Golden State Warriors have the most televised games this year with 41. You know who's right behind them? The Los Angeles Lakers with 40. Know who's right behind them? The Phoenix Suns with 35. This is the best they can do. They still selling you the same garbage that they've been selling you for 10 years. These dudes are old. They're selling you LeBron, Steph, KD, the 2010s, the dudes that basically done ruined basketball, basically. And basically got everything they wanted. They got the referees on their side. They got away with all the stuff on the court, and everybody calling them great for it because the numbers look great. This is what I mean. This is the best the NBA can do because the NBA front office is bad at what they do. They always have been. And I've been observing it, and I hate when people like Chilltown tell me it's not true when it is. I'm watching it. I've been watching it for years, man. If I've been watching something for 20-something years, bro, and I realize, hey, this era is they a little bit more lenient with this era than they are with a previous era. That means it's bullshit. In my mind, then they need to stop it. That, in my mind, that's what it means. It's bullshit. That's right. James in China acting a fool, and that's probably where he gonna end up staying. He need to call up Dwight in Taiwan because that's where he gonna be. Either that or he gonna be flipping burgers somewhere, man. Because he threw in this league. He threw. His ass is through. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about you anymore, James, because you don't care about. You gave everybody ass to kiss. That's
I don't expect James Harden to change. What we all see, Leaf, is that James Harden is going to continuously do whatever James Harden does. He's going to show up out of shape. He's going to show up overweight. He's going to play a little bit, but then ultimately he's going to get his way, get traded. Now, the reason why he's acting like this is because, remember, the 76ers ended the trade talks.
Right.
And it was reported, I think, there were two teams, the Clippers and the Knicks, for James Harden in a trade. We all know that James Harden wants out of Philadelphia. And I also recommended, and I don't know if you heard it, but they should trade Joel Embiid too, because this is as far as Joel Embiid is going to go. I understand you want to keep him because, again, he's the star. He's the face of the franchise. You know, you drafted him 3rd overall. But we talk about James Harden coming up short in the playoffs. We can't ignore Embiid. And I mean, I think if you trade him, you're going to get something in return by trading him.
It's possible, but I will say this. The way, I'm not even talking about the CBA, but the CBA definitely with the contracts that's being given out now to a lot of the young players, the players that's almost ascending past their rookie contracts. The first overall pick, the top 10 picks from, I say 2 years ago, maybe 4, those type of players, man. Those are the players that the CBA is basically kind of supporting with the 65 game minimum. I'm pretty sure there's a menace clause in the fine print of that in that new CBA somewhere. It's probably nobody speaks about it, but I bet you it is. They're basically telling the 2010s players, and I'm pretty sure that that when they had these negotiations, when they went to the negotiation tables, James Harden name came up, Kevin Durant name came up, LeBron James name came up, Kyrie Irving name came up, and oh yes, Ben Simmons name came up.
Yeah, and you're gonna mention Ben Simmons.
And they and the owners and everybody on the higher up is tired of the bullshit. They're tired of it. The owners specifically. Listen, we're gonna pay you guys. Okay, fine. We don't have no problem coming out of pocket. But listen, in business, somebody has to be in charge, and we seen what happens when the players was running the league for the previous decade and going on in Chris Paul regime, and the whole time Chris Paul was president of Players Association. We seen what was happening. We seen how they ran the league, and we seen all the BS that was going on with it. That's what we seen. You know what I'm saying? And now it's time for us to start looking at some of these new players. Are they gonna put a lot of money and a lot of stake in Wemby? Absolutely. Of course
they will. Considering the attention and the hype he's getting, absolutely.
Yeah. But the thing with Wemby is, like, you gotta keep him out of crash course situations. And what I mean by crash course situations is you gotta find ways for him to extend health. Because, like, listen, he was 7'3", before the draft, and now he's 7'5", so he's still growing. You know, that's kind of like the AD syndrome when he was like 6'9", 6'10", and then he wound up being 6'11", filling out the frame that he filled. Same with Giannis.
Right.
Giannis the only person that filled out a frame without getting any major injuries, but that's neither here nor there. The point I'm trying to make is, man, listen, with the trades can happen, but I think the way that teams are tying up the players and the rosters that they have, we just seen Josh Hart get 4 years, $81 million. It was a buddy contract, but listen, we seen it happen. This is the time for role players and key guys to get paid. You know what I'm saying? So I really, if unless it's James Harden for Dame, that me personally,
That would be
I
a
don't
good
really.
fit, though. That'd be a good fit for Embiid because we all know how lethal Dame is as a shooter, and I think his personality would fit there. But I don't know. He would rather be in Miami.
Yes, I think. Listen, the James Hardens of the world, and I think James Harden and Dame pulled this BS at the worst possible time. They pulled it at the worst possible time because just a year ago, Kevin Durant wanted to trade right after he seen Rudy Gobert get traded for 9 assets. And what happened? Kevin Durant started the season on the Brooklyn Nets, and he didn't get traded to the trade deadline this past year. So that just goes to show you, bro, these teams are not just laying down. They're not just going to bend over just because you said, yo, let's trade them. One of the things I respect about my team and my city as an organization is that, listen, we wasn't making nothing happen until we felt like we made the right deal for us. I think the Portland Trailblazers should do the same thing in the Dame situation, and I think the Philadelphia 76ers should do the same thing in the James Harden situation, or if they're going to go further and end the process with the Joel Embiid situation, because with Nick Nurse at the helm now you basically got you're basically running a whole different team. I think it would be perfect for him to get a new cast of guys and younger guys. I go as far as saying, yo, get Tobias Harris out of there as well. Get him
Yeah,
out
that
of there
was
as
a
well.
mistake
Yeah,
by
start off
paying
fresh.
him instead of Jimmy Butler.
Big time. Big time. Big
But
time.
I think the reason why, but wasn't it the reason why they they went with Tobias instead of Jimmy was because of Ben Simmons?
Well, that's one way of putting it. But I talked to a bundle of Sixers fans, and they said there wasn't really no shot at getting Jimmy at that time because Tobias, if I'm not mistaken, he had a player opt, and Jimmy was unrestricted. If I remember, they would have had to come out of pocket more for Jimmy than they would have had to come out of pocket for Tobias Harris at the time. And correct, and listen, to my knowledge, bro, from what I remember, I might be foggy, but I don't think Tobias Harris was better than Jimmy on that team. On that
I
Philly
didn't
team,
think he was.
on that Philly team that got beat by that Kawhi buzzer beater, bro. Because Jimmy was holding his own for the most part. It's just Kawhi was just going dumb. That's all it was, bro. Like Kawhi, he was averaging 35 against them in that series. So, like realistically, and that's another series with Joel sold him with the BGs. You know, he had to go to the bathroom, bro, like for a whole game, and didn't play. You know, then come back up into what game 5. Man, they was up 2-1 in that series, by the way. So, my thing is like I strongly believe that the process may be over. The era of Philadelphia 76ers basketball probably it may be carried by Tyrese Maxey. Tyrese Maxey is like maybe a piece that you want to hold on to, and then get other pieces around him, bro, that could complement him. Try to get like a little start off with a little 3-head monster, and try to work your way up to that. But I think the James Hardens, the Joels, the Dames, they starting to develop this. James has already developed it, but I think Dame and Joel, they've developed this sort of diva mentality accidentally with basically what they are demanding. Not so much by words, but how they carry themselves. You know what I'm saying? Like Dame is saying, I'm gonna stay here for forever, and then turn around and say, I don't know if I'm ready for another rebuild. Joel realized everything was changing. Joel's situation is different because he realized everything was changing around him, and now he's kind of like, oh yeah, man, I think I gotta go. I think I might have to go, man. Like this thing ain't working. They don't know what they're doing, and I don't really blame Joel. But the thing is, you haven't been performing in the postseason either, brother.
He has it.
Yeah,
Not
and
even.
so my thing is like you could give and you take. You could give and take for how much long in this league. He's 30 years old. He just now won an MVP, and he's the only MVP that hasn't been out of the second round.
No question about it. And I just think with Joel Embiid, this is as far as he can go. I mean, he finally got his MVP, and the Philly, they had a great chance. They really had a great chance of actually getting to the conference finals. All they had to do was win game 6 at Philly. And Jason Tatum, who you've often called Scottie Pippen, he was terrible the first 3 quarters in that game. And that was an opportunity for them to capitalize. And Jason Tatum took advantage of that in the fourth quarter. And then later on in game 7, I mean, when you look at Joel Embiid, you look at the game 7s at Toronto. Okay, game 7 at Atlanta. Yeah, he did have 31 and 11, but he also had 8 turnovers. But we ignore all of that because we look at how awful Ben Simmons was throughout that series and before then. Joel Embiid has come up short, and that's the point that Damo was making on Players' Choice on the panel, that you
Mm.
can't trust Joel Embiid. But hold on, we got another dude on the panel. We got my cousin. What's up, Nate? How you doing, bro?
Hey, what's up, y'all?
What's
What's
up,
going
man?
on, man?
What's good?
We just talking about James Harden. He went. I think he went to China, and he basically called out Daryl Morey a liar. What are your thoughts when you heard that?
To be completely honest with you, it's really tough, man. I always say situations change. Like it's like making a promise to your girl that you'll be with her forever. You know, things, situations. You know, 2 years pass. It's a new world. It's a new
Oh
world now.
man.
Like I see 2 years. 2 years later, he's not the same player. 2 years later, he's out of shape. He's seen his numbers go down. He wasn't effective in the playoffs for the last 2 games, and it's like I don't think it's that Daryl Morey doesn't want to, step up and do his part. I think it's more about the fact that he has a job, man. Like he has a livelihood. He has an owner that he has to make sure that he he keeps this organization running. At the end of the day, giving this guy a long-term deal, I don't think that's the right move for anybody. I don't think it's good for the 76ers. I don't really think it's good for any team that's not either on the cusp, maybe a Miami Heat type of team who wants to just take a risk. Like I just don't see where he would go. I don't think it's personal. I think Daryl Morey just knows that James Harden is out of his prime.
Mm. So let me I also talked about this, Nate. I don't know if you heard it, but I think that the 76ers, they should consider trading Joel Embiid, because I think this is as far as he can go, and you can't trust him given his durability history and the fact that he's come up short in the playoffs. If we're going to talk about James Harden coming up short in the playoffs, we have to talk about that with Embiid as well. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it would help for him to have a second guy that can get him at least a consistent 20, 25, and be a more active defender and a more active off-ball player as well. Like James Harden kind of lacks when it comes to that catch and shoot variety type of play.
Yeah, he's more on the ball than off the ball. I think Ticket
You know
mentioned
what?
that.
When you said that, bro, all I kept thinking about was Dame.
I,
That's all I kept thinking about. It's the second that you said that sentence, man. I was just thinking about. I'm like, man, listen,
Yeah.
because even though Dame, listen, all three of them has had shortcomings in the playoffs,
100%.
going deep into the playoffs and on their respective teams, on teams before, even as first options and where they are now. So my thing with Joel is, man, like I think at least the defense is still there in the postseason. He could protect the paint. Second to AD, I think he was the best paint protector, and probably the second best defender in the playoffs. Just in terms of that, you know what I'm saying. So I think I think you're absolutely right. Having a guy that could get a consistent 25 plus in consistent postseason games to basically take the load off him, man, because the way he's been playing, him and AD sort of have the same tendencies. You know, one game they're gonna go out and go give you 30 and 20, and then the next big game they're gonna give you 15 and 11 or something like that. And you know they got Marcus Smart guarding them. You know, so I'm a little bit like, and then you're looking like, wait, what the hell is going on? What did I just watch? You know, and then you're looking at Doc Rivers like, yo, James Harden, James Harden, you know who you are. You know who you are.
I know,
You know.
and the crazy part, man, is like everything you said. I just there's nothing to disagree with. It's more like seriously, like I just don't know what to say. I don't know why he's like forgotten everything Daryl Morey has done for him. You know what I mean? He created a really comfortable position for you. Like, despite the fact that, you were playing your way out of franchises, he gave you an opportunity to play because he trusted your ability. You're not the same player. Like, it's simple. If you want a championship, you should want a pay cut. To be honest, like,
And I think when
James
he
Harden
and
ain't
I
gonna
think
do
when
that.
he took and I think when he took that little pay cut that he did take, but what was it? This past year before the full season that he played with the Sixers, he thought that was the only favor that he owed Daryl Morey. The bottom line is it's been like I said, it's been a one-sided relationship since you met Daryl Morey. You've been selling him since when you was the first option in Houston. And now
100.
you selling him as a second option, bro. Like now it's to the point you getting older,
You
and you
mean the
worried about
14,
him.
$15 million pay cut, Leaf?
Oh, at least
That pay cut, that the 14-15 million dollars that he could do without, man. That's more than enough money, man, to let go for strip clubs and parties and going out with Lil Baby and rappers and Meat Mills and all of that, man. Like that's enough. That's nothing. We get that away. It's fine. You know what I'm saying? So like my thing is like you have been lying to Daryl Morey for years, bro, with your play. That's how you've been lying to him. You've been lying to him every year in the postseason with your meltdowns. That's how you've been lying. You've been lying to the Houston franchise. You lied to us over here in Brooklyn. And and then when you got nerfed, you did get injured, but you did get nerfed. And then you lied again, man, because you wanted your way out of that. And then you got into Philly. Now you're lying to them. You know, so my thing is, man, listen, this is the beat for me, and I'm more than happy to say this, man. This is the beginning of the end for James Harden and the rest of these 2010s bums, man, that are all pretty much over. They just taking up space in the league, man. Like I don't really need to see him anymore. Like to me, once LeBron James retired, man, we're like I think real basketball fans, man, like we could all rejoice the rebirth of real basketball again. You know what I'm saying? Like instead of this dog and pony show that they've been putting on, letting these dudes basically run the league, and that's how the new CBA basically came in place. Because I guarantee you, all of those names that I mentioned before, the KDs, the Kyries, the James Hardens, the Ben Simmons, man, all of those names that came up in those negotiations, man, and that's the reason why the CBA is the way it is right now.
So, Leaf, do you blame LeBron for creating that players with the leverage and everything else as far as picking and choosing where they want to go and stuff?
I blame the NBA for allowing him to do it for so long.
Okay.
That's what I blame. But because my thing is like if you were going to create a CBA to basically stop what LeBron had quote unquote started and KD had quote unquote piled on and then James Harden had basically said, I don't want to be here, and then Ben Simmons said, I don't feel like playing, and then KD said, I want to trade, and then this player said, I want to trade, and then this, that, the third. We ain't gonna act like we haven't seen it before, but this new CBA seems to have some like a whole bunch of things in it preventing that from happening in the future with the money that they giving away, man. They just listen. The Boston Celtics just made history by paying Jaylen Brown $300 million for 5 years. At no point in time, bro, like, is he gonna be like, "Hey, man, I think it's time for a trade, man, and I think business is business, and let's do what we got to do, man." Like, well, I know what direction the Celtics are going, but I don't even think he's gonna do that just off the strength. The point I'm trying to make is, man, like, these dudes, they allow these dudes to develop a sense of entitlement by allowing them to say, "Oh, I want this trade and I want this trade. Oh, I need these players and I need these new players," and then going up to management and saying, "I need him, I need him. No, 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 I don't need to play with him no more. No, I don't want Chris Paul no more. No, I don't want Dwight no more. No, I don't want Kevin McHale no more." Things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think they've allowed them to have a sense of entitlement, and the owners came back to the negotiation tables with this new CBA and said, "No more. We're done," because somebody has to be in charge of business, and when you have the workers being in charge, man, it creates chaos because everybody's gonna feel like they're entitled to the same thing that the other workers, the top earners are entitled to, and they're not.
Mm-hmm. I want to read this comment right here from the Chubby Rank Show. Appreciate you, dog. Joel can ball like a motherfucker. I just think he not that hero ball type of guy you can lean on when you need it most. Leaf, I'm gonna let you go first. Do you agree with that?
I do agree with that, and it goes back to what I was saying, man. Like, him and AD basically have the same tendencies. One game they're going to give you 30 something and 20 something and like 5 6 blocks, and then the next game they're going to give you 15 11 and five and like 3 blocks. They're going to give you good paint. They always going to give you good paint protection, man. Like, no matter their condition, but it seemed like those guys are like, you could kind of see the injuries coming when they're playing because the way that their playing style doesn't support the condition that they're in. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Like, they just never really filled their bodies out to play the style that everybody kind of wants them to play. Everybody, like, listen, AD is not a center in no way, shape, or form, bro. Like, it's gonna be too many hits, the unnecessary boxing out, and excessive hits and everything that he's gonna have to take that his body really can't stand. He's frail as the bro. The dude is Charmin tissue. He always has been, bro. Like, so listen, if he's running up and down the court scot free and getting breakaway dunks all game, man, he could do that all game. Trust me. But the second that he got to go against contact and try to move people and box out and fight for a rebound and fight for positioning, bro, like he had to do in the Nugget series against Joker when Joker was basically moving him around, and then he basically had to put Rui
Hello?
on him, let him play
Oh, what up, Devin? We can hear you.
and they basically had to let him play the roam defender,
What's
the
up?
roam
What's up?
shot blocker. What's going on, Dev? They basically had to let him play the
Then-
roam shot blocker. Like, that's what he's best at. When he's got to play one-on-one defense against somebody like a Joker that could really that is skilled enough, man, to have his way. We all saw what happened.
All right.
So
Nate,
Not much. Not much. Salute y'all. I'm just, on the way back from somewhere my pops band. Oh no.
no, it's all good, Dev. Nate, do you agree with the statement by Chubby? He said Joel can ball like a motherfucker. I just think he's not that hero ball type of guy you can lean on when you need it most. Do you agree with that, Nate?
I'm more on the coaching side. I don't believe in hero ball. I don't believe in going out and going one-on-one for a game winner when you can play. Like, I've always seen LeBron James as somebody who he could add a little more to his game. Like, it's worked for him, throughout the years. But LeBron James isn't like a hero ball type of guy, and he gets a lot done by, raising his level on the defensive end. We've seen LeBron James come out, not hit jump shots, but in 2016, when he had a bad shooting game, he can get it defensively. So I think, like Leaf said, I think Joel can get it on defense. And because of that, that's a really good redeeming quality for him. And I think, if he has better defenders around him, Tyrese Maxey and James Harden are like, that's free food for players. Like, the penetration is so easy. Joel is always having to come up and help. It's hard. Like, it's hard when you're going up against Yoke, who's already a pretty, he's a big deal downloaded, like, to handle by himself. And now you got James Harden giving up easy penetration. You got Tyrese Maxey giving up easy penetration. And then on top of that, like, on the offensive end, bro, what's the direction? They don't even have a true PG. Like, those assists that James Harden is getting, do you think when James Harden approaches the game, he's a pure point? No, he's at his best when he's scoring the ball. So like it's like they just have a weird mesh of talent. Like I think, get Joel. If you're gonna trade Joel, like I guess, but like what? Like you're giving up the second best center in the game just to go over another rebuild. I don't think you have to go through like a steep rebuild like that. Like it took you a long time to get these pieces and create a team that's one game away from the conference finals. And now you're just gonna say, okay, Joel's out, James Harden is out. I'm cool with trading James, but I don't even know what you're gonna get for James. I think James is gonna have to play. At the end of the day, they have his rights.
He's gonna put on that fat suit. That's for sure.
I don't think he will though, because what leverage do you think teams are gonna sign?
He doesn't have any leverage.
I don't think he has any leverage to do that.
Same thing with Dame. He doesn't have any leverage.
He doesn't have any leverage, but
I wouldn't
saw
say
him in China. He didn't look good. He didn't look like he was in good condition.
He didn't.
Look, I think James Harden is still upset. He's butthurt, man, by the whole, he lied to me. He didn't get me paid. He didn't get my money, man, like he said he was gonna do. But at the end of the day, James Harden has got to get over it and realize that it's business. And I'm pretty sure that Daryl Morey didn't do it with any ill intent. I'm pretty sure that he didn't do it with any ill intent, bro. Like, but for him to get you, because for Daryl Morey to get you over there and you to finally have one full season with that team to begin with, he didn't do that on purpose, James. You're just taking it personally because you want out now after one full year, and you feel like you've sacrificed enough by leaving $15 million on the table. You feel like you've sacrificed enough. You haven't, James. You haven't sacrificed enough. You haven't sacrificed enough ever. You know?
No, he's never been that.
He's never been that. You should have bro. He's a professional athlete. He should have a six-pack.
Listen, look. The thing with James Harden is he has developed a sense of entitlement over the past 10 plus years, just like the Kevin Durant's, just like the LeBron James, just like the Ben Simmons,
but you can
like all of those names.
You can ball. If you can ball, you can be entitled. Like I do it. Yeah, I agree. Like 100% when you said that LeBron James and Kevin Durant are entitled basketball players. Like they gotta, like the franchise has to be run by them to a degree, 100%. But I think like you gotta kind of give some level of credit to them because it's like these are great basketball minds. Also, it's not like Kevin Durant is a slouch. It's not like LeBron James isn't arguably the greatest player of all time. Like their input to your franchise can help. So like I'm not upset about that. My issue is like, when LeBron James shows up to training camp, he's in shape. Bare minimum, he's in shape. He's ready to go. His body's in great condition. You can tell he cares about this. When James Harden shows up to training camp, and every training camp, it seems like he's playing himself into shape. What it tells me is like, you can't bare minimum stay in shape. You're a $50 million athlete. You can't at bare minimum like keep up with your physical fitness at bare minimum.
That's exactly what it is. Because listen, if Kevin McHale came out and said, the first year we had first year I was coaching the Houston Rockets and he seen James Harden come in out of shape. If Kevin McHale is telling you that this was back in 2014,
yeah.
This is before James Harden became the shuffle of feet scorer that he eventually became and doing the juke and jive and all of that. So the thing is, if he told you that, and then you see it time and time again, when are people gonna believe it, bro? Like, listen, as a number 3, he was selling. Selling as a number 1. He was selling as a number 2, all in the playoffs, all in big games. Casual, fix your face. Why you doing
that? Because y'all.
He's ass, man.
Go ahead, Casual.
No, it's okay. So let me start first with John down there. Down here with me. James Harden is not somebody that's just like sitting there and just like allowing to the defenders to go past him. I don't know who told you that. I don't know how much Philadelphia basketball you watch, because the even with the tandem of James Harden and Tyrese Maxey not playing like all-star level defense or all defensive defense, this team still had the best defense in the playoffs. You realize that, right? Outside of the Boston Celtics, you do realize that, right?
They did.
And that was not because just Joel Embiid was blocking shots all over the place. Because actually, if you really want to be technical, Joel Embiid, after he got injured defensively, he was not impactful as you would like to say. Like Bam Adebayo was literally the most impactful. Second was Al Horford and Robert Williams. They were like tied for second. And then third was I'm trying to remember. Oh shit! It was what's the kid that plays for Brooklyn? Nicholas Claxton. He was third in the small sample size that he played. So like Joel Embiid had like a long list before you even got to his name as far as like impactful defensive like bigs. And yeah, you're sitting here acting like he shouldered that whole 76 defense, and he didn't. That was a collective unit. James Harden hasn't played bad defense, to be honest with you, since like 2017. It's been a while. And if you want to talk about him being a slouch offensively, I would like to remind you that the regular season and the postseason, James Harden was relatively the same. He did not waver from his original self this regular season. He was a playmaker first.
You know what you did,
score second.
You know what you did? You went right to numbers. I never
I
had
didn't.
anything.
Wait, did I say any numbers?
No. I know, but I know what direction that you're going, bro. Like I realized that. But what I said was, and it's 100% true. And then coming up this next June will be the 12 years since he's last been in the finals. He has come up short in big games in the playoffs.
What game did he come short? What game did he come short in? That could have got him to the championship.
He came up short in that finals as the number 3. He didn't perform well. He did not.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. In OKC, as a 21-year-old, he did not perform well. You're
okay, all right. Listen, it may be a small aberration, but it's there. Listen,
okay.
Going forward. Okay. What was that year that they played the Spurs?
That was 2017.
2017. Yeah.
It was game 6. It was game 6.
Not just that casual. Game 5.
That was the elimination game. He was bad.
Not just that casual. Game 5, he did get shot. He got blocked from behind by Manu Ginobili.
Yeah, but that's not. But considering how many minutes he played, considering how many minutes he played in game 5, like he played damn near all of that. So that they were trying to get the Spurs out of there, and he played, and he was bad. For the totality of game 5, he played phenomenal. It was just that last possession, Ginobili got him.
Right.
But how do you explain game 6 with no Kawhi Leonard?
Game 6, you're absolutely correct.
No, it's
huge. Absolutely correct. I'm with you.
All right.
Okay. So
we go to the 2018 conference finals.
We go to 2018. Chris Paul got hurt.
2018's conference finals wasn't on him. He actually played well. It was Trevor Ariza that played poorly. He missed like 7 of those threes.
It wasn't just him, it was the rest of the team. They missed like over 20.
They missed 27. James Harden still produced. And James Harden still found a way to produce.
The Warriors whatsoever. Those series against Kevin Durant, where he almost beat Kevin Durant. In fact, I'm actually impressed that he got that far. I don't even hold those conference finals. I never held against him. No one was.
What did he do the next year when they didn't have Kevin Durant?
He played phenomenal. Actually, he played phenomenal. That was Chris Paul.
Okay. What did he do? What did he do the year after that?
In 2020, when they lost to the Los Angeles Lakers, he played about as well as you would expect against the best defense in the league.
About the best defense in the league, and best defense in the NIT Invitational, I guess you want to say. But
I just want to ask a question: is James Harden an above-average defender?
At this point of his career, no, he's average.
He's average. Okay.
Yeah.
So you say he's an average defender, but they have a top defense. So, like, being that he's a part of the top defense, he's He's a below average defender and one of the best.
Because John, when you say that a team is the best is a top defense, that's a collective unit. So 100%. James Harden can't afford to be an average defender if the unit that he's with collectively.
You the one that always told me, bro, about AD anchoring that Lakers defense, bro.
No, I'm not. You know how I know? Because I'm the main one that says that AD's defense is slightly overrated.
Okay,
slightly overrated. You said that? Oh, it might have been somebody else. It might have been somebody else. My bad.
I'm not.
It might have been somebody else. My bad.
No, I'm not. All I'm saying is when it comes to James Harden's situation with Philly, let's look at it in a realistic scope. Let's not look at it as James Harden from 2016 has been the same player defensively. That's not true. He's actually gotten better defensively, smarter defensively. And although, yes, he is not in the best of shape, there's plenty of people in the NBA, y'all do realize they get paid a lot of money and they don't do anything.
Yeah, but I genuinely disagree with true. I think he's a below average defender.
Not all of them have the resume that
below average. Below average in what sense? Do you think that Stephen Curry is an average defender?
So I'll give you this with James Harden and Steph, for example, right?
I think Steph is the average now.
Okay. So if you think that Stephen Curry is an average defender, Leaf, what makes you think that James Harden is not?
Because it's James Harden.
But wait for one
exactly because it's his name.
James Harden allows easy penetration.
But James Harden,
he does not. He does not.
We're not going to act like James Harden can't get beat on catch and go repeatedly.
Oh, absolutely, right? catch and go on defense whenever he's caught off guard and the ball is swung to his man. He's looking to stand. He will get beat because his lateral quickness is not there. You're absolutely right. But he is a great post defender and on balls, quiet as kept. He's actually very capable of staying in his man and guiding them to help defense.
No, 100%. You're right that he's a decent post defender. 100%. He can play.
How often is he in the post, bro? Like what ratio? Well, come on now.
But that's not all I said, though. That's not all I said.
Nah, I know that's not all you said, but you said on ball. I think that's slightly over.
I think on ball, he's very good at being able to stay in front of his man and guide them.
To me,
I mean, I'll put it to you this way: at the guard position, when you're dealing with mostly speed, bro, James Harden is going to struggle. Obviously,
and then this is another thing that people need to understand. Y'all do realize that that the defense on the guard end is probably some of the least valued talents that you could even care. Alex Caruso is excellent defensively. Do you understand why he is not looked at as like this person that is a must-have on your team?
He is looked at as that.
No, he's not. Okay, so then why isn't nobody looking for him from Chicago? Why isn't nobody looking for him from Chicago?
That's because everybody is starting to tie up their current rosters now.
So if that's the case, and Indiana got Tyrese Halliburton, who's terrible defensively, why haven't they looked to get Alex Caruso there?
They got Bruce Brown.
You look at Bruce Brown as a better I won't say a better defender. As a great defender.
But he's a good
okay, he's an average defender, right?
He good.
So if he's an average defender,
I would give.
I'm not saying he's average. I said he's solid. He's above average to me.
Yeah, he's
bro.
solid.
I think he's solid.
Okay, above average.
I think the defense that he played for this Nuggets team on their way to a championship run.
That was a collective unit, bro.
You sure?
Yes.
Yo,
because Jokic was. You can't say that Jokic is a terrible defender.
You know
if Jokic would be into multiple plays on the post,
who would you say was the best defender on that team? Out of everybody that played,
you said who do I think is the best defender on that team?
Who did you think was the best defender on that team this past season? The whole season, not Aaron Gordon. Aaron. Okay, I'll give you Aaron Gordon because he had the tough assignments in the postseason, bro.
Not really.
Listen. Anytime you go from guarding Kevin Durant to LeBron to
if we're keeping it a stat, players like Christian Brown and Michael Porter Jr. was actually having more looks at KD, but I digress.
Christian Brown. Okay, all right, Christian Brown.
One
But
And
hundred-
like,
KCP also. KCP also.
Very correct.
but coming into the season outside of KCP, you could argue that Bruce Brown might have been one of the guys that was going to be listed as the top defenders on a team.
Oh, okay. Looked at as like the top.
Yeah, looked
defender.
at. Yeah. You
I
can
mean,
argue that.
okay, you could say like as far as like his defensive capabilities, like what we know, what we think that Bruce Brown in theory should be able to do consistently. Then yeah, he probably would have been one of the top. But that just like with the Nuggets, just like with the Celtics a couple years ago, just like the Golden State Warriors a couple years ago, it is not the defense is not anchored off of the back of a guard.
I don't know, yo. I really disagree. Bruce Brown.
Okay. So in the Golden State Warriors,
1 to the 5.
Wait. Casual. I could argue that with that Chicago Bulls team before Alonzo got hurt, bro. Like him and Caruso was damn near running the show on defense, bro. Like before.
But that's not why they. But that. Okay, Caruso and Lonzo was not the lone reason that they were able to be a top defense. I'm sorry, because they were still.
You have to stop.
Yes,
well, I mean, they were the point of attack defenders, though.
As point of attack defenders, yes, they're excellent. I'm a Milwaukee Bucks fan. You know this, Leaf. I give credit to Drew as like the so much that I think he's one of the greatest point of attack defenders of all time. But it is not a secret that in the NBA today, point of attack defenders are not as much valued as a rim protector.
They're not as valued as the Rome guys, as like the Rome defenders.
Yes, there's a reason. There's a reason why all of these rim protectors that can't do nothing else are getting paid, because they the value at rim protection is at such a high level, because you can't guard the perimeter. You can't. Even Drew Holiday got cooked. You saw this postseason by Jimmy Butler.
He got. But I think that was just a mismatch, me personally, bro. Like,
I mean, fair enough. But I'm trying to get you to understand, like, just because you're a point of attack defender, you're an excellent one at that. That doesn't mean that your defense is all of a sudden just going to skyrocket. It doesn't work that way.
No. I will listen. Well.
Guys,
I will rebut that, bro. I will rebut that by saying, in the case of a healthy Lonzo Ball on the Bulls, if you go back and watch that team, them two, him and Caruso, they were the show. They were anchoring that defense. They were not just the point of attack defenders. They were anchoring that defense. I'm positive of it. Trust me when I tell you, you could go on anybody's page and they'll tell you the same exact thing. They were anchoring that defense. They weren't just the point of attack defenders. They were anchoring. They were the Rome guys. They were the point of attack. They were the start and finish for that defense. They had, if anything, remember when they played, Pat Williams was out. Pat Williams, he was looked at as being one of the top defenders coming into the season for that team. He was out in the beginning of the season. It was Lonzo and Caruso, and they were like running the gauntlet, bro. Like for defense on that team. Trust me. And even though it's an anomaly, we ain't gonna say it didn't happen. So guards can be that, bro. That's all I'm saying, bro.
But for that, they only were 22nd defensive.
So who are the rim protectors right now that you feel that are?
They only finished 22nd.
They were only 20. They were only 22nd.
Yeah, they only finished 22nd. By that time, they probably had a higher rate. Now I gotta go back and look back at it, bro.
They played the entire season together. They played the entire season together. So like,
guys, we gotta wrap it up in a couple of minutes because we gotta move on to different topics. But casual.
All right, of course.
What's your thoughts about, and I'm gonna get to Devin in just a sec. What's your thoughts about what James Harden had to say about Daryl Morey calling him a liar and stuff? Do you see the 76ers trading him? And I also said that the 76ers should trade Joel Embiid. What are your thoughts on that?
You're not getting me no argument. You're not getting no argument from me about trading Joel Embiid. Dev knows how I feel about Joel Embiid. I think Joel Embiid is massively overrated. I don't think that he can lead a team to the championship. I think that he is an electric offensive player in the regular season, but much like James Harden, when it comes to the playoffs, his offense becomes stagnant. His playmaking is very, very average to piss poor. Defensively, I think he's overrated. I think if he played in the Western Conference, you would see a lot of the guards that's able to cook Jokic be able to cook Joel Embiid pretty frequently, because Joel Embiid is very, very lazy when it comes to coming up off of the pick and roll. So you won't get no argument from me on that end. I think when it comes to what James Harden said about Daryl Morey, I had the pleasure living in Houston of seeing this unfold. There has been a relationship between James Harden and Daryl Morey where it always felt as if one or the other always were going to come through for the other. So in Daryl Morey's case, when Daryl Morey had to make the conscious decision of trading Dwight Howard, and people had written off the Houston Rockets and thought that we were going to be, well, I won't say we because I'm not a Houston Rockets fan, but they thought that the Houston Rockets were going to be bottom feeders. James Harden took his offense to another level, became an excellent playmaker under Mike D'Antoni, and even started to work on his defense. And they became the second seed. So he came through for Daryl Morey in that sense. And for James Harden, when it came time for him to look for a way out of Brooklyn, Daryl Morey searched for every way, high and wide, for him to be able to get James Harden on the Philadelphia 76ers. So he came through for him in that sense. So they always had this relationship where they came through for one another. This is the one time where Daryl Morey did not come through for James Harden, albeit because of business. James Harden is taking it personally. That's where it's at.
All right, Dev, what says you about what James Harden said about Daryl Morey calling him a liar?
I think it's true then, because like, because what was the conversation between them again? They had
Yeah, let me show you the exact quote from James Harden. He said, Daryl Morey is a liar, and I will never be a part of an organization that he's a part of. Let me say that again. Daryl Morey is a liar, and I will never be a part of an organization that he's a part of. I think this was in China when James Harden was doing his shoe tour. And on top of that, it was reported that the 76ers ended trade talks of James Harden. So what's your thoughts about that?
There could be a lot of insider things that happen between those two, and I think the contract dispute, because maybe I think he was promised something, and it didn't happen. So in retrospect, it is kind of true, because if I say I'm gonna do something to you and I don't do it, then it's kind of it is a lie. And even though there's some other stuff and incentives that happen, and I'm even if I change my mind, it's up to me to tell you if I hey, let's rethink this, or like let's rehash this. So that's up to me as a man. If I say something to you, especially dealing with money or your contract situation,
All right.
you should always. I think, I think one of them get traded. So I don't know how it's gonna end in Houston.
All right, fellas, we're going to talk about the NBA in a later minute. Let's talk about another big subject. After all, the title is called Stop Capping. Michael Oher versus the Tui family. Of course, I'm sure y'all have heard of, y'all read, watched the movie The Blind Side. In a new lawsuit, he alleged that the family tricked him into signing a conservatorship. He's claiming that the family never legally adopted them, tricked them into signing a conservatorship. He also claimed that when the movie came out in 2009, The Blind Side, it made over $300 million, but he's claiming that he never received any compensation. Now, the Tui family, they've responded. Sean Tui, he told the Daily Memphian, that the family never profited or never made any money. They're devastated with the allegations against Michael Oher. Like I said, they didn't make any. According to Sean Tui, the Tui family never made any money off the movie. So, Leaf, I'm quite sure you've heard of the details and stuff. What's your thoughts about this?
My bad. My thoughts. Oh man, this is one of those like type of situations, man. Because when I first heard it, I was like, like yo, you didn't get this and you didn't get that, whatever.
And he's also claiming that The Blind Side it was a
Yeah,
lie.
the blind side was a
And
lie.
that's a good movie too. That's fair.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and I think Sandra Bullock won an Emmy off of that.
No, she did win an Oscar for that,
The
and the
Oscar,
movie
yeah,
was successful and made over $300 million.
right,
They're saying the conservatorship it happened, and according to Sean Tui, they couldn't legally adopt him, so the only way was to go with a conservatorship. But the question
right.
was, we know it was a conservatorship. Did they trick them into signing one? That's the thing that people want to know. But what's your thoughts about this? Because this is some really terrible stuff. And not only that, with the conservatorship, they the Tuohys, they had legal authority to make business deals and anything else like that under Michael's name, and they were able to use and profit off his image and likeliness.
I guess listen, if the Tui family come forward and say that this is not true, it's kind of it's something similar to the LeBron steroid allegation. Where the dude basically said, "All right, yo, I seen LeBron do this and do that, or whatever." It's kind of similar to that, where it's like, okay, unless LeBron come do and say it ain't true, like it's sort of okay, well, who was this guy? But in the case of Michael O'Hare and the Tui family, I think most of what we know about them was based on the movie. Most of what I knew about them was based on the movie. Excuse me. But this seemed like one of them situations where it's like, after all of this time, bro, like that movie came out back in like 2000 and something, bro. Like,
2009.
yeah, 2009, almost 15 years ago, bro. Now this is coming out, bro. Like, yo, come on, man. I'll listen. Stop playing around, man. Like, I don't know what to think of this, man. Be honest with you.
Same thoughts, Leaf. It's like usually stuff like this kind of happen. Like something will happen, it'll come out years later. We've seen it with other serious situations or allegations of other things. So like of some celebrities or things that'll come out years later. So I don't really have no thoughts in this situation. I find it kind of like baffling right now. I just want to get some more information before I get like a real good opinion on it or like real good statement on it.
Nate, what says you, man?
I think, for me, if he didn't have an opportunity to profit off his story, and the story is also not, it's not even true, like the facts don't necessarily line up. I mean, that's wrong on every level. You know what I mean? For him to not have profited from that movie, a movie that made $300 million, that's about him. Like, I don't think we have to look much further. Whether or not he was tricked, I mean, he was young. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, it's not like this is a grown man that's signing over his rights. This is a child, to a degree. So it's not like he has full scope of what he's doing. I do want to, I guess clarify that the family did do I guess their part as far as taking care of him, making sure that he was good.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess, there is a level of, I guess, payback, but I mean, I thought that they had adopted him in good faith. You know what I mean? To come out and sign contracts without him being a part of that, and then profiting and making, I'm not exactly sure how much money they have taken in, but if they made millions off of his name and he doesn't see a dollar of that, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
someone has to pay up, man, and it just feels like the family is keeping a lot of things under wraps.
Yeah, it says it right here. It looks really horrible. Yeah, Sean Tui, as I said, according to the Daily Memphian, we couldn't adopt over the age of 18. The only thing we could do was to have a conservatorship. I just finished watching the NBC report from Kaylee Hartung. Want to make sure that she gets credit. What Michael Orr does want, however, is he wants to ask the Tennessee court. He's asked the Tennessee court for the conservatorship to end. Now, the Tuohys, they said they're willing to end the conservatorship. On top of that, they also want to keep Michael Orr also wants the Tuohys to keep them away from using his name and likeliness and also he wants the family to account for any profits related to him. He wants to make sure that they hand in records or any type of documentation like emails and contracts. And if the courts do find the Tuohys responsible for any misconduct, they can be required to pay for punitive damages. So what are y'all thoughts about that? Because I mean, this looks really bad for the Tuohy family.
It does look really bad for the Tuohy family, but I think they kind of like it, the way that's going about it from the stuff that I'm hearing. I'm like, they kind of like, all right, okay, like
That's how I
we
feel
wish them the
too.
best. They seem like
Yeah.
they seem like they didn't really come in it with like their behavior that they seem like they didn't come in it with any malintent to quote unquote take advantage of them and use them for this, that, and the third. But at the same time, you know, it's an it's NFL player. Eventually, it came out to be, and then, well, it's college player turned an NFL player, and then that's how it all happened. And then I don't know, man. This is one of them situations where I'm kind of like shaking my head about. I'm out on this PSP, bro. Like I don't know, bro.
No, it's all good. I mean, because when I first heard it, I mean, like it's like deja vu all over again, and it's like the South. Remember the whole thing with Brett Favre with the welfare
I
situation?
don't.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that. Oh my god. Yeah.
And the fact he's still not
I,
in trouble is still crazy.
No,
I,
we
He
knew
had to,
we knew because of them texts he sent to
yeah.
Nancy New, who, by the way, she pled guilty for her
Yeah,
role
she
in the.
did. She did plead guilty. Yes, she did.
I
Yes.
mean, them texts. That's as damning as it gets. If you were to pay me, is there any way that the media could find out where it came from and how much?
Exactly. I mean, and they know the text that it traces back to you anyway, but like, and
I
then they
know that
find that out, and then that's the story.
Yeah. Go ahead, Nate.
uh, no, I agree with you. I agree exactly what you guys are saying. There's not much to say. Like Dev said, we kind of have to just wait and see where the rest of the facts are. But for me, we can't act like they didn't know what was going on. Like the Tuohys were very well aware that Michael wasn't going to see any of that money. Let's not act like they're free from blame or they weren't acting with like malintent. Because in my mind, when you're signing checks and you're using my name in order to profit, and I'm not seeing any of that money, you're well aware. I
Right.
also feel like
That's
now
fair.
that they've been caught, they're kind of taking that stance of like, oh, here, you know what, we're gonna give you your rights back. Here it is. Like they're kind of just getting it off their back. Like, okay, fine, here it is. Like, no problem. Like it doesn't seem like there's a lot of like pushback from them. So I think they're well aware that this looks ugly, and I think they're well aware that they took advantage of it. Like there's
I
zero.
mean, yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, a conservatorship happened. It happened. I mean, they're willing to intend to end the conservatorship. So it happened, whether tricked or not. I mean, but either way, it looks bad because
It looks bad.
again, you have the authority to take over business deals, his finances, and stuff like that, and he's not able to see that for himself. So, but
100%.
to all your points, we gotta wait until all the further facts come out. So, but either way, this is very terrible. Let's move on back to the NBA, folks. Of course, y'all heard about the schedules. Let's talk about that. The season openers. And shout out to my boy Brandon with the comments. If you want to hop on, Brandon, feel free. Of course, folks, we got the NBA season openers. And don't worry, we got much more schedules to show out. You got the Lakers at the Nuggets on October 24th. You got the Suns at Warriors. You got the Celtics at Knicks. Mavs at Spurs. 76ers at Bucks. Suns at Lakers. Heat at Celtics. Warriors at Kings. So Nate, I'm gonna let you go first. What's your thoughts about the NBA season opener? And don't worry, we got much more of the schedules, including the Christmas, MLK games, and the Rivals Week. So, what are your thoughts so far on the season openers? Like, which game amongst them are you interested in seeing?
For me, honestly, it would be seeing the Suns at at full power and seeing what this new look Warriors team is gonna look like with Chris Paul coming off the bench. For me, the Lakers Nuggets matchup is at the end of the day, like that's a new roster. It's gonna take them some time to kind of mesh. So there is a lot of a lot of player movement right now that I'd like to kind of wait for to see how it fills out. But as far as like the Warriors offense and seeing how that'll look like on paper and seeing it in person finally is like it's exciting for me. So I would definitely say that Warriors matchup is what I'm looking most forward to.
What up, Brandon? How you doing, my bro?
Doing good. What's good, y'all?
Good. We just talking about the NBA schedule. We got some of the season opener games right here. Of course, Lakers got the Nuggets, Suns at the Warriors on TNT. We got the rest of these other games right here. These are the season opener week. Don't worry, I'm gonna show the rest of the Christmas MLK games and Rivals week. But what's your thoughts on the season opener games?
I like the games. No, I ain't got a big problem with it. I just think Celtics and Heat should be one of the games for the opener. But
because of the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah. I mean, that's why you got Lakers and Nuggets there too. So other than that, that's really it.
Yeah, I like the schedule too. I think honestly, I think the NBA does a good job of scheduling. You kind of see the matchups. Can you pull it up back for me? You know, Mark?
Yeah, no problem, Dev. This
like,
is the season opener week.
Like, for example, like the Mavs versus Spurs. Like, come on, now that's the two international players, Luka versus Wemby, two international phenoms. Then you have Celtics versus Knicks, an old school rivalry. Even though I don't really care about the Knicks, people don't care about the Knicks like that. Suns versus Warriors. You have KD, Draymond versus Steph, and all of them. That's like the narrative between there. Lakers versus Nuggets. You saw what happened in Western Conference Finals. The trash talk between Coach Malone and Coach Ham. Lakers new roster. See what the Nuggets do, defending champs. Sixers Bucks, Giannis versus Embiid. Suns Lakers. We finally get to see LeBron versus KD for in 5 years, which I didn't even know it's been that long. So hopefully we can see LeBron versus KD finally. So yeah, I like all these matches. I think the NBA does a good job of scheduling the matchups. Only thing I like is the Knicks.
All right, Leaf, what says you about the season opener week?
Fuck the NBA and the schedule. I'm sick and tired of seeing these damn teams, bro.
What's your problem with the list? What's the problem with the Leaf?
Listen, bro. You could count how many times you've seen the Lakers, the Warriors, and the Suns up there. How long they gonna keep pushing Steph, KD, LeBron, bro? They just gonna keep pushing them and keep pushing them. It's like this.
Leaf is really a hater,
I don't want to hear no buts, man. No.
The only thing is, Leaf is like other players they try to push, people don't care about. It's like they're catering to the fans. So like for example, Trae Young, John, and these other young stars. Like, yes, we want to see them play, but the NBA is not going to push them because the narrative's like nobody want to see Atlanta. Unfortunately, like I'm a Hawks fan, nobody want to see us play. We saw it. Like we talk about the Hawks for like 5 minutes, and then they want to chase topics, or like nobody wants to see the Pistons play. Nobody wants to see Orlando play. No one wants to see Brooklyn play no more. No one wants to see Portland. Like, unfortunately, that's just the NBA fans. Like, the NBA is catered towards players, versus like the NFL is catered towards teams. Like, that's how you can see, like for example, an NFL team like the Browns versus Bengals. Even though the Browns been trashed all those years, it's still a good game to watch, and it's still promoted by the NFL because of rivalry. So the NFL, I think the NBA needs to go back to promoting teams and players, and it's kind of hard to promote because it's a players' league, and that's what the fans are. Like, fans are like I'm in Atlanta. Like the Hawks, like when the Hawks won 60 games in 2015, it really wasn't sold out like that. But until they got Trae Young, that's when it got really real big. Like because even Mavericks, that's just unfortunate. That's just the unfortunate thing of the NBA. It's like in fandom, they're fan and I understand Leaf where you're coming from. It's just their fans are more catered towards players.
It's unfortunate because the NBA is bad at what they do. They don't market their other talent. They don't market their younger talent. They don't showcase their younger talent. They push the same shipment that they've been pushing ever since Mr. Mackey from South Park got the goddamn job as NBA commissioner. They pushed the same shit because they shoved it down your throats for 4 straight years by putting them same bozos in the damn finals for 4 straight years. And I had enough of it. I
All
had
right.
enough, bro. Like as a fan, I had enough. You know, this shit is run by TikTokers, bro, and all these little gargoyles that became damn basketball fans within the last 5 and 10 years,
This
bro.
man
It's
leave, bro.
pissing me off. That's what it's doing, bro.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Brandon. I mean, Leaf is going to continue to go on this tear, but we got the
Hey,
Christmas.
hold on.
What's up?
Leave.
What's up?
You know Lakers going back to the Western Conference Finals, right?
And again, getting swept again? Yeah, I do.
No, nah.
Oh yeah, he was
22?
talking about Austin Reeves earlier.
Brandon, listen. I don't listen. I was okay with you promoting the Seahawks, but I won't tolerate no Lakers shit up in here, bro. Today, bro. That's what I won't do, bro. I'm relaxing. I don't want my blood pressure up.
All right.
So like we're not gonna do that, Brandon, bro. Like if you would listen, you don't even do that on your channel, bro. Like no, we're not gonna do that. No.
All right.
Bro.
Nate, what do you think about the season openers week? Did you give your opinion on the season openers week?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Leaf as far as like, the NBA could definitely do a better job marketing. We see the same teams in the finals, like he said. There's not a lot of like, variability with each year. It's the same shit every year for sure. But I will say these young guys, I don't know. They don't. It sounds funny to say, but they don't seem as interesting to me. They're not as.
It's
They're
because
not
of the
as like
money. It's because of the money, man. It just seems like to me nowadays with players, they're more interested in the money and fame and more looking good, which is why Leaf has been very critical of dudes. Most noticeably Ben Simmons. Like Leaf, I cannot find a bigger critic of Ben Simmons than him. There's a lot of them, but he's Leafs at the top, or amongst them, he's one of the top because like he does not give Ben Simmons a break, and I don't blame him.
No, I agree with Leaf. I'm with Leaf as well. But my only thing with Ben that's I've started to kind of, I don't want to say soften up to him. At the end of the day, you got to go out and play. But there's a part of me that's like, this guy could vie for another big contract. You know what I mean? He's still 6'10". If he goes out and balls out, like, I don't know, he just so happens to have a big training camp and he really shows out. It's like,
I don't know. I don't know, Nate. I don't think any team's gonna give Ben Simmons another huge contract. Not
oh,
after.
no one's giving him a huge contract, but it's like, why don't you want to play? Like, you're young. You could go out and get another $250 million contract. Why don't you want to just get in the gym, lift? You're naturally 6'10". You don't even got to get in the lab. You just got to keep yourself in shape. Pretty much walk onto an NBA court and get 15 and 10.
We'll never
Let
know.
me tell you why.
He doesn't do it. For me, at first I didn't believe the mental trouble, but now I'm like, why doesn't this guy want 300 million? Like,
Let me tell you why, John. Let me tell you why, John. Because up until when he got into the NBA and then the Sixers and everything, he has been told everything that he wants to hear. It's basically when you got a whole bunch of yes men around you telling you, yeah, you good, this, that, the third. And until a large point, listen, he still can provide for a team the way he is right now in terms of his play style. He can still get both feet in the paint. He can still he's still one of the top elite passers. He still knows how to play off the ball with setting screens and getting in the dunk box and rolling and everything. It's a lot of things that he can do good. But no, hold on. Let me get this all. It's a lot of things that he can do good. It's just the point of playing, being aggressive, being a screen setter, being a defender. You don't have to be the scorer. Being a go-to playmaker, making the right plays, turning your passes into assists. Those are points. Rebounding at a high level. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to necessarily be an elite 3-point shooter, or like you just got to be have some type of offensive repertoire in your game. Getting both feet in the paint and taking that short. Just taking that short hook or whatever, taking the jump hook or whatever you want to do. You know what I'm saying? But like, those are the things that he has to get on the court and do. That's what I'm like. Get your ass out on the court and go do it.
There's only one thing I wanted to.
Yeah. Go ahead and say one last thing because I got to move on to the schedules. Go ahead.
100%. There's one thing I wanted to ask Lee. So for me, it's like Evan Turner's a $20 million guy. That was he was making $20 million a year about as a 9-point per game player. And I'm looking at this guy like, yo, this guy Ben Simmons he was an All NBA player. He was an All Star. He has the same body. He's still young. I genuinely think something's wrong with him. Seriously, now I believe it. I didn't believe it a year ago, but I'm like, no, there's got to be something wrong with him. Like whether it's in his camp, maybe he's seriously
between the back injuries and like the
Bro, you don't think he
lack
wants
of
$300 million?
confidence and the need to be pat on the back all the time, because he's a pat on the back type of guy. A
That's
pat on
worth
the back
$300 million, though?
Yeah, but a lot of the things really realistically mostly mental, but like it's I wanted to say mental health, but it's a mental part of his game. My thing is like when you pat on the back guy, you're looking for everybody to say yes and yes and yes and yes and yes to you, and that's what the Nets are doing. Is it gonna work? I don't know. Is this the right type of team roster wise on paper for Ben Simmons to actually come in and contribute to and help as a lead facilitator and as a lead tempo pushing type of guy? Absolutely. Is he gonna go on the court and do it? I don't know. As a Brooklyn Net fan, man, like really, I am really restless. I could any day lose my mind and turn into Michael Myers. No pun intended. But
Okay.
let's
We trying to save you from your blood pressure, man. Come on.
yes, yeah. So I'm just leave it alone, man. Like yeah, we got to figure it out. I don't know
All right.
how we gonna do it.
All right, let's get back to the rest of these schedules, man. The Christmas games. Of course, you got the Christmas games. You got the Bucks at Knicks, noon on ESPN. You got the Warriors at Nuggets, 2:30 on ABC. Celtics at Lakers, 5 o'clock ABC. You got the 76ers at Heat, 8 o'clock ESPN. Mavs at Suns, 10:30 ESPN. Brandon, out of all the games, which one are you most in tuned in? You're probably going to say Lakers.
Well, that is a rivalry game, so yeah. But if I have to say another one, I'm not gonna lie. All right, Mavs and Suns would be pretty good.
Yeah, that'd be good.
So yeah.
Dev, are you there, man?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Which game amongst the Christmas games you're more tuned in to watch?
I would say Celtics Lakers.
Okay. Leaf, I think Leaf is done. He doesn't want to give his opinion anymore about any of the basketball
I'm
games.
gonna give a short opinion actually on this. I'm actually interested in seeing the Warriors versus the Nuggets.
I am too.
Yeah, because notice that the Nuggets went on this championship run, and I know the taxes that's gonna be handed out, man. Like years from down the line, they're gonna be like, well, the Warriors weren't in the way, but the Lakers beat the Warriors, man, and that was a matchup problem. But I feel like the Nuggets for years had problems with the Warriors. And Christmas Day is like kind of somewhat where the season is sort of starting. You know, you want to send that message, and I want to see if the Warriors still have the speed and everything to basically make Joker work enough, man, like on the perimeter and keep him honest as a defender, more on the like more on those kick out situations. You know what I'm saying? Because it's the Warriors at the end of the day. But we got to see the Celtics and Lakers. I don't care about. It's two Scottie Pippens versus 39-year-old LeBron. Like so, we don't.
I told
care
you, Brandon,
about that.
he's not gonna stop. But you know that's Leaf. Nate, man, of all the games of Christmas, which one you're most in tuned in?
I think I'm with Brandon. I would go Mavs at Suns. I feel like
Kyrie versus KD, and then of course Luka. So you know,
Luka versus D Book again. He told him to stop running his mouth.
Yeah, that's gonna be.
He
a great
told him to stop running his mouth.
All right.
I know it's like a blend of talent too. Like I feel like, yo, it's almost the end of KD's career. Where we're coming to even Kyrie. If you're looking at how his career is going, he could retire early. You never know with him, you know. So it's like this really could be it for a lot of these guys. For me, I would say, hey, enjoy these last couple of Kevin Durant years that we're probably going to get. Same thing with LeBron. Honestly, I think LeBron's been playing retired for the past like 2-3 years. He'll kick up for a couple playoff games, but
I
Like
say good riddance, bro.
I agree to an extent, but at the end of the day, the young guys, LeBron is still a top 10 player. It's not
Huh?
his fault that the young guys don't want to hoop. It's not his fault that he's in the gym. He's putting $2 million into his body every year. Like I think a part of
I
it is
don't
like
think
at the
it's
end
so
of the day,
much as
Kevin
the
said,
young guys don't want to hoop. I just think it's the
KD's still
fact
the best
that
small forward. Or KD probably the best small forward in the game still.
I just think it's the fact that I don't think it's the young guys don't want to hoop. I just think it's to the fact that I think that they're not everything that a lot of the players that we talk about, LeBron, KD, Kyrie, Steph, man, a lot of the things that they were pretty much living off of, but like the young players that's coming into the league, they probably expected to live off the same things and the same perks and all of those things in the 2010s, but that's not going to be the case. I think a lot of these young players that you talked about, I think they have to come in these situations and actually learn how to play the professional game the right way, as opposed to having everything their way. You know what I'm saying? Like as opposed to that. So I'm being told that Ant Edwards is probably going to be the best two guard in the league in another year or two. I
Let me
think
see.
Devin Booker will have something to say about that. I think Donovan Mitchell probably has something to say about that, maybe. But I think Ant Edwards, in terms of all around, can be. We just gonna have to see. I'm hearing that Tyrese Halliburton can become a top 3 guard, point guard in the next couple of years. I don't know. You know
All
what I'm
right.
saying?
All right, let's move on to the MLK games. You got Rockets at 76ers on NBA TV, 1 p.m. You got Spurs and Hawks. You got Warriors at Grizzlies on TNT. And on NBA TV, you got Thunder at Lakers. So, what's your thoughts about that, Leaf?
These are some better looking games. Obviously Atlanta is gonna play. Obviously Memphis is gonna play. But Memphis, wow. I'll be honest with you. I would love to see what that team is gonna look like with Marcus Smart at the now in the locker room as a new grown up in the locker room, and to see what impact he's gonna have on a lot of those young guys,
Especially John
uh,
Morant.
especially John Morant, and I think D Rose being added to that roster as well, just to try to keep John Morant calm and then keep him in basketball mode and try to get the right things out of him, but because everybody keeps saying to young players, listen, to John Morant, they ready to give him the league, they ready to give Zion the league. You know what I'm saying? So these guys got to be ready to take it on, man. And with the years that they came up off of the previous years in terms of everything that they went up off the court, I think this is a chance to really, get back to their roots and just get back to the game and focus on that, because they got a lot of distractions in the past year, and I just want to see these young guys get themselves together. I don't want to see them being spitted on and then being ridiculed for what they did so when they was 22 or 23 years old. So like it's kind of crazy to say, man, but I think they have to go on the path of resurgence. You know what I'm saying? So like I think they have to go on the path of bouncing back and coming and coming out of sticky situations and shitty situations and everything, and bouncing back and being the guys that they were trusted to be.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to
Mm-hmm.
see what they're gonna do from there.
All right. Unfortunately, Nate is having some technical difficulties, but once he gets that fixed, we'll have him back on. And then Rivals Week. Hold on, we got Nate. Nate, can you hear us, man?
Yeah.
Yeah. We want before we get into Rivals Week, what's your thoughts on the MLK games? You got Rockets at 76ers, Spurs at Hawks, Warriors at Grizzlies, and Thunder at Lakers.
I'm gonna go with Leaf. I want to see that how the Grizzlies look like, especially without Ja being there. How will Marcus Smart look like in that offense and defense? But in all honesty, I see an easy Warriors win. I think it's really, really hard to come in and you're not the best player offensively to lead a new team. I think he's going to be the person that has to adjust early on. And I think he's going to notice there's a lot of guys in that locker room that are just not mature. It's hard. Like, it's not like you're playing with Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and you got an established coaching staff. It's not the same thing. Like, it's going to take him some time to build some type of rapport with that team. You know, like I'd just like to see how he looks, but I don't know, man. I just want to double down on what Leaf said. I don't necessarily like this new group of young guys. In my opinion, I feel like the NBA, they want to pass the NBA over to them, but they just don't want it. I'm looking at Jalen Green, funny stuff, funny videos. I'm looking at John Moran. He's having gun issues, and it feels like the NBA. I'm telling you, the league wants to give the NBA to, like, but they just won't take it.
Yeah, but unfortunately, it is just what it is, unfortunately, and I don't see it changing that anytime soon.
I think they want Wemby to be up next, but I think they really want to.
No, they are. No. Actually, leave. I'm sorry to pause you. They actually are, because I'm reading this article here from ESPN by Tim Bontemps. Says it right here. Wembanyama will have 11 nationally televised games, including 3 of San Antonio's 4 group stage games in the in-season tournament during his rookie campaign.
Well, I mean, like, listen, if this really is the best prospect of all time, as a lot of people presume, and a lot of I think we done granted him that just because because that's what the NBA draft is. It's a whole bunch of potential merchants, like that's what the GMs turn into. They looking for the next guy, and I would feel a whole lot better about Wemby going to the Spurs had they had Yaki Poto. Because I did they had Yaki Poto to do most of the dirty work, man, at the big. And
no, I'm not laughing at him, the player. I'm just laughing at the name.
Yeah. I'm just So I would feel a lot better, if he was like the guy that would be. Could you imagine? I'm just trying to imagine. Had everything went the way I was, the way that I planned, and he got drafted to the Utah Jazz, he would be playing the 4. Walker Kessler would be playing the 5. Markkanen would be playing the 3. He would be the roam defender. We talking about arguably, potentially the best roam defender in NBA history. Like, at 7'5", there's no mid-range shots; those are getting blocked. There's no layups; those are getting blocked. There's no cuts to the basket; those are getting chased down. There's no nothing, bro. Like, when you try to go attack a Walker Kessler, he's gonna come out with the help defense. Like, the NBA really screwed it up. They really screwed it up. That was my plan for him, and he was gonna
and it backfired.
Yes, it did backfire big time. And now the NBA is basically gonna have to work from the ground up, and we'll see what they can do from there. But
all right,
that was a beautiful plan.
To wrap it up, we've got Rivals Week. You got this is a big one for you, Leaf. You got the Knicks and Nets and Lakers at Clippers on TNT January 23rd. You got the Thunder and Spurs and Suns and Mavericks on ESPN January 24th. You got the Celtics and Heat and Kings at Warriors on TNT January 25th. Mavs and Hawks, because of course the Luka Trae Young draft, and Trailblazers Spurs on NBA TV on January 26th, and Heat Knicks and 76ers Nuggets and Lakers Warriors on January 27th on ABC. So any of those games you're interested in, Leaf, I know you're interested in the Knicks and Nets, even though I know you don't like talking about the Knicks as much, but in New York, that rivalry. Lakers and Clippers, assuming if Kawhi, AD, and Paul George stay healthy, and of course Russ coming off the bench. The Thunder Spurs. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see Chet Holmgren going up against Victor, because you got 2 7-footers. Suns and Mavs, of course, because we talked about it earlier with Luka and Devin Booker, with Kyrie, KD. Celtics Heat because of the Eastern Conference Finals. Kings and Warriors. I mean, these are some really good games to look at. But any of these games y'all interested in? Hold on, I think we got Dev back. But anyway, Leaf, go on, man.
A lot of these games, I'm looking at the matchups, but what is like what I'm crying in my mind about is the dates, because if a lot of these games happen in like the first month of the season and the first couple of weeks of the season, I think we'd be a little bit more excited because we know everybody's going to be healthy the beginning of the season. Well,
Mhm.
at least like as far as we would know, we would have like a greater ratio of players being healthy. Like these games is in January. These are the times where you like, oh man, yo, somebody's gonna get hurt around that time, and somebody's not gonna be on the roster, and then the game is gonna be
But we
kind of
need
like an
that, Leaf.
asterisk,
But
you
Leaf, we
know.
need that. If any, me, you, Nate, we live in the East Coast. We live in cold ass weather. That's nearly football is done because of the Super Bowl. So we gotta
Right.
find some way to entertain the fans and shit.
Yes, definitely. But my thing is like those games coming at that time. Definitely, you're absolutely right. But also, it's kind of a gift and a curse because they coming at the time as you said, man. Football season is kind of being wrapped up. It's in the postseason or whatever in the playoffs. But those games at that time also come as the at risk of key players and marquee players being hurt around that time going into those games. So it's not gonna really hold like the same like fizz, as an early season game as if those games were happening along the first month of the season. You know what I'm saying? I feel like the first month of the season could get lit up, man, if you have those games right then and there. You know what I'm saying? But as you know, man, that competing with the NFL is basically a mission impossible. So,
Hmm.
especially during the weeks out, man. Like, so this is why they don't have games on Sundays no more, and on Sundays and Mondays and Thursdays no more. So, because the NFL basically holds court.
All right, Nate, go ahead, man.
I'm gonna say those Knicks matchups, and in all honesty, I'm nervous already, being that my whole backcourt is playing FIBA basketball right now. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
it's scary hours for me every single time I see those
Wait,
guys.
you a Knicks fan?
Yeah, I'm a Knicks fan.
Oh, all
It's
right.
3 hours for me right now, man. I'm watching Jalen Brunson and RJ Barrett out there. They
I mean, well,
tweaking it.
Mikael Bridges and Cam Johnson is basically getting a lot of reps too. So I mean, that don't really work. It worked well because they're younger, but I mean, Cam Johnson just got 100 mil and came off a season-ending injury on, excuse me, on the Suns. But I mean, I'm looking forward to like seeing what can be of the entire division in reality, man. Because obviously I basically you know throw a lot of shade on a lot of teams in the division. Everybody know how I feel about the Boston Celtics. Toronto is going in a different direction. The Knicks, yeah, everybody. I think everybody know how I feel about them. The 76ers is going wherever they going. So I think the Nets, in terms of depth, I think. Listen, I like the matchups going into the season. I like the matchups almost in every game because I think we got players on our team, that's gonna get the try to go for their big contracts and have something to prove and play their ass off. So that's
Uh,
just me.
all right. And we're gonna wrap up this episode with one last subject:
Uh
start,
oh.
bench, or cut. We're gonna do NFL, but it's not players, it's coaches.
Oh wow.
Start, bench, or cut. So, Leaf, I'm gonna let you go first. Either Andy Reid of the Kansas City Chiefs, Kyle Shanahan of the San Francisco 49ers, or Sean McVay of the Los Angeles Rams. Start, bench, or cut.
I think this is obvious. You're gonna have to start Andy Reid because I think he's making up for the Philly years, obviously with Kansas City. Sean McVay has really impressed me. With going to the Super Bowl with two different quarterbacks, man. I'm gonna have to bench him, obviously behind Andy Reid and Kyle Shanahan. He there's no way he can ever erase what happened in Atlanta. Um,
And
I
that
think
other Super Bowl against
yeah,
Kansas City,
yeah,
though.
yeah, and oh yeah, and all the Super Bowl against Kansas City as well. He's been a perennial loser. He's just been a guy that just cannot get it done at all. I think if anything, he's he's sort of the Mike D'Antoni of the NFL. Like just a guy that's got a high power offense, got a good mind for offense, but he can never really get it done. You can't really trust him in the big games, and I think that's been proven in Atlanta and as well as San Francisco. And so I might have to cut him. Yeah, get him out of here.
Say that again about Kyle Shanahan. He's the Mike D'Antoni of football.
Yeah, I think he's the Mike D'Antoni of the NFL.
Nate, man, you got a chance. Start, bench, or cut.
I have the same. Honestly, it was a pretty easy pick as well. You just got to go by championships. That's what you're playing for. And the only thing that I would probably add is when I look at a guy like Sean McVay, I think he's definitely the model of consistency, but he has had probably the best defensive player in recent years. A guy that draws double teams, a guy that changes the game pretty much every single play. The fact that he was able to keep that defense together, obviously, consistency is great, but I don't necessarily think those Rams teams had. I'm not. I don't want to say I have questions about him if he was in a different situation because that's kind of unfair. But yeah, no, I don't have much to say. I think Leaf hit it pretty much on the point.
I think this is more about those three coaches that have offensive minds. If I had to say, wouldn't you say PSP, bro? I think like offensive minds.
All three of them are brilliant offensive minds. They're brilliant play callers. I just think I agree with you, Leaf. Start Andy, bench Sean McVay, and cut Kyle Shanahan because both of them have won Super Bowls. And what we've seen with Andy Reid, and the reason why I say start Andy Reid, at some point in time, we're going to have a conversation. If he wins another couple more Super Bowls, who's really the greatest head coach? Is it really him or is it really Belichick? And I feel like Belichick, the past couple of years without Tom Brady, he's been exposed. And what has he been since? Now, say whatever you want about Tom Brady and all that stuff, but he's proven he's gone elsewhere and won a Super Bowl. People thought that Tom Brady was done, like Max Kellerman, who used to work at ESPN, wish Max Kellerman the best. He talked about how Tom Brady was falling off a cliff. And Brady could still prove that he could still play and is still able to win a ring without Belichick. We've seen Belichick 3 years now. Only made the playoffs once. And in that playoff game against Buffalo, a disaster. With Sean McVay, again, he used to be the offensive coordinator for Washington and stuff like that. He is
he was. Yeah,
yes. He is the boy wonder. He can make he's a genius. Offense. Look, Jared Goff, he helped Jared Goff get that huge contract.
Sure did.
And on top of that, the Rams, they had to trade up 2 first-round picks and a third-round pick for Matthew Stafford because they felt like in order for us to win a Super Bowl, we got to go forward with Matthew Stafford. Then Jared Goff, he was holding us back. And then it showed the first year when they won the Super Bowl.
How can we forget about Todd Gurley?
Yeah, them injuries.
Oh, man.
And with Kyle Shanahan, unfortunately, I've said this, Leaf, he's the new Andy Reid. But
Wow.
Andy Reid before the Super Bowls, what was he, Leaf? He was a very good coach, get you to numerous conference championship games. He did take the Eagles to a Super Bowl. They didn't win that Super Bowl. But the narrative with Andy Reid was clock management issues. Could he win the big one? Could he work on late game adjustments and stuff like that? That's what we've seen with Kyle Shanahan. We saw it in the Super Bowl, as you mentioned, the 28-3 Super Bowl. No one will ever forget that Super Bowl.
But the one thing I will say that
go ahead, Nick.
Oh, my fault. I didn't hear for like half a second. My fault for cutting you off.
No, that's okay. What I was gonna say is no one's ever gonna forget that Super Bowl. Just like Leaf, no one's ever going to forget the Super Bowl in which you said that the Seahawks gave away that Super Bowl to New England. You could make the same argument for Atlanta over New England. Because you had a 25-point lead. All you had to do was run the football, milk the clock. Devontae Freeman was there. He made the Pro Bowl that year. He was averaging 4 yards a carry. Had you run the ball more, you would have milked the clock. You would have kept Tom Brady on the sideline, prevented him from coming back. And who knows? You might as well score more points. You probably would have scored 40 or more. with the offense that you had at the time. And then the
Absolutely.
2010 Super Bowl, the 2020 Super Bowl,
Mm-hmm.
you had a 10-point lead. Patrick Mahomes in those first 3 quarters in his first Super Bowl didn't play particularly well, but they came back and won that one. Now, again, we got to give credit to Andy Reid too, as well as Patrick Mahomes, but that's on Kyle Shanahan on his resume.
Yes, it is, and one of the reasons why, like, I think, like, yeah, it's like you said, that Atlanta Super Bowl, bro. That's I don't think that's ever going to be erased. Kyle Shanahan could win a Super Bowl, but I don't think anybody's gonna ever forget about that. Those are 2 Super Bowls that Tom Brady like easily lost had y'all did the right thing. That and the Seattle one, had y'all made the right calls and everything down the stretch. But to Kyle Shanahan, man, I think offensive mind, I think he's been brilliant. Obviously, man, like, listen,
Because of his father as well.
yeah, and his father as well. But the thing is, when it's come, I don't think I listen. And you said he's the new Andy Reid. I don't think I've ever seen Andy Reid blow any type of like monstrosity, bro. Like that Atlanta Falcons team has blown in the Super Bowl. When I seen the game and I didn't really watch the game, but somebody told me the score. It was up 28-3, and I was thinking to myself, I kind of had the same feeling about that game that I had about the Josh Allen 13-second game. You remember that? The Josh Allen 13
against
I
Kansas
had
City
the same exact feeling because I said to myself, Josh Allen, and I watched that game. I watched Josh Allen play one of the most magnificent fourth quarters, and have a run, drive by drive or touchdown by touchdown, and it was 13 seconds left on that clock, and I said the Buffalo Bills is not going to win this game, and I was confident. The second that they scored, I said to myself, they're not going to win this game. They're not going to win this game, and I was thinking because like I was talking to a friend. We laughing the other day, bro. He was like, "Yo, knowing what you know about Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, at that time, I'm waiting till 5 seconds to go on the clock. They not coming back on the field. This defense not coming back on the field. Hit the showers. Y'all done for the day. This is the last play of the game. That's it. Josh Allen, like we living and dying with Josh Allen making this last play. That's all it is. You do not listen. I don't care what happens. Pat Mahomes does not come back on this football field under no circumstances ever.
Right. And speaking of Mahomes, even though I don't want to take anything away from what Patrick Mahomes has accomplished, but coming out of the draft, Patrick Mahomes wasn't viewed that high. And the Chiefs, they traded up in the draft to take him with the 10th overall pick. And mind you, Leave, guess which quarterback was still available on the board?
That was who was that? That wasn't Joe Burrow. That was
No, that was the 27. This is the 2017 NFL draft.
Oh, Josh Allen, if I'm not mistaken.
No, that was next year. I'm talking about Deshaun Watson.
Oh, Deshaun Watson. Oh,
yes, and Deshaun Watson had the better collegiate career.
Yes, he did.
But the reason, and I wouldn't have mind Andy taking Deshaun, who wouldn't? But he saw something in Mahomes, and a lot of times Patrick Mahomes is compared to 2 quarterbacks: Brett Favre, and Aaron Rodgers.
Yes,
who you've had the pleasure of seeing during your time in Green Bay. And Andy, remember, he was the offensive coordinator at the time in Green Bay with Brett Favre. And he saw a little Favre in Mahomes, the arm, the improvisational skills, all that stuff, and etc. And I think this may be Andy Reid's masterpiece by taking this dude, who, mind you, wasn't that high in the draft, and to trade up with the 10th overall pick and to turn him to this generational talent. That says that's on Andy Reid's resume.
PSP, I don't think I could argue with you on that one. I think this is definitely on Andy Reid's resume. I think he has made up for the Donovan McNabb years tenfold and 10 times over. To think, man, that he had Donovan McNabb and Michael Vick, Shady McCoy,
Deshaun
Jackson, Brian Westbrook,
Brian Dawkins,
Dawkins, like we talking about some when we mention those players on them Eagles teams, man, like we talking about some of
Dogs.
the dogs of the dogs, man. Like they we talking about future like game changers, man. Like Hall of Fame got type talent. You know what I'm saying? And for him not to win with either one of them, to me, and then make up for it, man, with just Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill. And the way that he's been drafting ever since, if you look at the way the Kansas City Chiefs draft, they draft all speed around Patrick Mahomes at that
Hey,
wide position. They go with all that speed.
in the words of the late great Al Davis, speed kills.
Speed kills, yes, it does. And the thing is, I think Andy Reid has Patrick Mahomes has basically given him new life and a brand new career to the point where we don't even when we talk about Andy Reid when he's all said and done, nobody's really gonna really bring up the Eagles years and the Donovan McNabb years anymore because of what Patrick Mahomes is doing. The road to the AFC goes to Kansas City for the last 5 years and probably the next 2 or 3. You know, and probably even more years than that. And we have Andy Reid drafting whatchamacallit and sitting behind Alex Smith for a year to thank for it. You know what I'm saying? So I have to agree with you on that, man. I think he has found new birth and he has rejuvenated himself with that pick alone. Listen, this is obviously Travis Kelce is going to go down, if not as the greatest tight end to ever play this game. And Patrick Mahomes GOAT conversation is getting stronger and stronger, and more elite to the fact where if we got to count how many times Joe Burrow beat him and he doesn't have the resume, then that's how you know he's doing something right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
no question
yeah.
about it. Well, anyway, folks, that concludes the rest of the podcast, folks. Fellas, one last thing before we head out.
Yeah. So, man.
You ain't got anything to say, Leaf, Nate? Anything?
Yeah. To get back to that game, just for a second, the Buffalo 13-second game. I kind of feel a little bit more sympathetic for football players than I do like basketball players because they put a lot more on the line. Especially when they get out on that field, man, anything can happen at any given time. But that's probably the only Josh Allen is probably the only quarterback in that moment that I felt for. Damn, that's kind of a crazy way to lose, man. Like, yo, it's 13 seconds on the clock, and I know and still know nobody in this arena and still know nobody on that sideline believe that you're gonna win this game. That's crazy to me, man. Like, what was your initial thoughts on that PSP? What, like, when you seen that clock?
I thought Josh Allen did everything he could do. 13 seconds. Now, if it were 30 or 45 seconds, that's still enough time for any team, let alone a great team like Kansas City to come back. But 13 seconds, and the Bills had the number 1 defense at that time. All you had to do was just keep them away from field goal possession, and then 2 plays.
And then they didn't squib kick the ball. They kicked the ball out of the end zone. You didn't run no time. You're supposed to squib kick it, bro. And I'm like, yo, listen. I would think. Listen, and somebody told me I was having an argument with somebody who was like, yo, bro, knowing the way that defense played that day, you really letting them back on the field, bro, to finish that game? And I'm thinking to myself, and obviously in hindsight, we thinking like, no, there's no way I'm letting that. Listen, they did have the number 1 defense, but the way that they was playing that day, I'm not letting them back on the field. But you got to know that right then and there and make that grand decision to be like, all right, we running this clock down and we scoring on their defense. Patrick Mahomes, hit the goddamn showers. You ain't hitting this field ever again. No more. That's it. Your season is either ending or extending with this play right here. But you're going to watch from the showers while Josh Allen scored his touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you're going to do. Because you're not getting back. You, under no circumstances, you do not give Andy Reid the ball back. You do not give Patrick Mahomes the ball back. That's what the game plan was.
And now I guess us knowing that at the time, that's knowing it in hindsight.
Yeah.
Obviously, this is what you do against great teams. I remember the Indianapolis the Patriots did that to the Indianapolis coach because when Peyton Manning and Bill Belichick said, "Man, listen, I'm living and dying, knowing that that Peyton Manning was not going to get back on that field and get that ball again. That's what I'm living and dying with." And that was his plan. Did it
All right.
work? Maybe it didn't, but that's what you
All
live
right.
with.
Nate, you got anything to say?
Really not too much. Really, just wanted to say thanks for having me on the pod. I always feel like, so you just do a great job moderating, man. I really seriously see you like at some point in time really working with high level athletes, like mediating conversations. I really think, as crazy as these conversations can be, sometimes we're talking over each other. We may try to obviously get our point off. We love sports. We're trying to get our opinions out. I feel like you do a good job getting us to that next subject, man. So I'm always shocked when I come on the pod. I really feel like, your time is coming. I always feel like your time is coming. So I appreciate you for having me on, man. And Leaf, appreciate hearing your perspective. I feel like you know a lot about both sports. I've always said I'm a basketball head. It's where I started off. It's definitely, I would say, almost a profession at this point. But yeah, man, just hearing your perspectives have been great. So I'm just happy to be on.
Appreciate it, man. But I know more about the history than anything, and that kind of carries me, man. But I care more about that than a lot of things. But yeah, appreciate it, man.
Of course,
Well,
man.
fellas, appreciate y'all for hopping on the show. Leaf, go follow Leaf. Tell them where to follow you, Leaf.
That is YouTube at Leaf4788. Don't follow me at Twitter no more. Twitter is basically Craigslist now, man. Don't follow me there. Don't follow me on IG, man, because I'm basically blindfolded on there, man. I feel like a lot of stuff is being taken over on there, but YouTube is the place to find me now, man. Just good content, good sports, man, good sports talk, man. I talk a lot of shit, man, and fuck your favorite team.
Nate, tell them where to follow you, man.
Same. Follow me on IG, John Superman. I do a lot of my training on there. I haven't had a chance to post too much, but being that it's about to be basketball season, there's going to be a lot of players coming by, and I'm actually going to do a quick collab actually with Jesse Jones coming in a couple weeks, so you guys will have an opportunity to see that.
Nice, man.
So yeah,
All right,
man.
Appreciate it.
Cool.
And fella and people who watching the podcast, y'all know where to follow me. The Sports PSP. Like and subscribe to my YouTube channel and IG, as well as TikTok, Sports PSP3. Go check out the rest of the NFL preseason. Go check out Anthony Richardson. Go check out all these other rookies and stuff like that. Also, the Commanders. They named Sam Howell as the quarterback. This was the only decision for the Commanders to make, either him or Jacoby Brissett. But you got to see what happens in the Sam Howell era. And also, if you're interested, I don't know if y'all still WWE fans. Go watch the A&E documentary on Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yes.
That's a hell of a documentary. Leaf, just like you talk about Goliath with Will Chamberlain, that's a really damn good documentary.
It is a good documentary. And actually, even more to wrestling fans, try to people on YouTube or Daily Motion and watch a series called Dark Side of the Ring. There's some really crazy stories about some of the guys that you might have forgot about in the past. Like maybe if you were 80s or 90s wrestling fan, a fan of like the Monday Night Wars or the fan of the early 2000s or whatever. They got a bunch of stories. They 4 seasons in, and I was just watching something about how the WCW Bash at the Beach in 2000, man, where Hulk Hogan basically was playing chess while everybody was playing checkers, man. He was finagling his way out of his contract, trying to get that extra cash, man. And
You know,
Yeah.
everybody had a problem with it. It's a real cutthroat business, man. But I mean, especially back then, you know, like I mean, yeah, but it's a lot of stories, man. A lot of stories, a lot of stories on A&E. You find some about Stone Cold, I think Mick Foley,
Shawn Michaels.
Shawn Michaels was, oh man, that was that's a wild one. A lot of people gonna like him. So yeah, go follow that as well, man. I'm a good enough wrestling fan. I'm real good on the history of it, man. So yeah.
All right. And for that, we is out. Peace.